Hello everyone, welcome back. Do you remember the Tree Folk Doors of Durin deck? Well, I came across another amazing deck from the list that Jeffrey posted, and it's also built around the legendary enchantment Doors of Durin. But this version, it's completely different. It mixes so many different creature types that it's honestly insane to see what pops up and triggers next. And let me tell you, this deck is fast. Most games are over in 2 or 3 minutes. It just erupts like a volcano. Before we start, I just want to mention the few minor changes that I did here. The original deck had 3 copies of Aragon and in total 8 forests. I removed 2 copies of Aragon and 1 forest and replaced it with 2 copies of Elrond, Lotr of Rivendell and 1 copy of Gimli, Mournful Avenger. Because Elrond gives this deck predictability, and that's the most important aspect in this deck if we want to win consistently. The more we control what we reveal with Durin's Store, the stronger the deck becomes. And Gimli? Well, if you're running Friendly Rivalry here, the best friend of Legolas simply has to be in this deck, of course. We run a lot of mana producing creatures like the Light Halfling, Woe's Pathfinder and Glowing Dwarf Emissary, who hoards tons of treasures. We also added 2 copies of Oliphant with Mountain Cycling and 4 copies of Generous Ant with Forest Cycling. This makes the deck even more consistent and helps us find the lands we need early. The goal is simple: get Doors of Durin onto the battlefield as quickly as possible, because then the whole game will just escalate and there is actually no chance for the opponent to withstand the pressure of constant attacks. Arven is an incredible aggressor. With her indestructible counter, we can attack into bigger creatures without fear, hoping to cheat huge threats like Kankra or the Witch King of Angmar directly onto the battlefield. To avoid flipping the wrong cards, Elrond lets us scry whenever a creature enters the battlefield on our side. That way we can keep lands and small creatures on top when we need it, or to avoid later on to draw only lands or small creatures while activating Durin's Door ability. And he is so good in this deck because whenever our creatures enters the battlefield, we can scry. So it means also when we attack with our creatures, then we can also put the creature on the battlefield and then we will scry also. Also for that case, we have Radagast the Brown that allows us not only to scry but also to put a creature that doesn't share the type with our creatures on the battlefield onto our hand. And the great thing is we have so many different creature types like dwarves, humans, elves, also for example the Wraith Noble, then we have also Spider Demon, so you can see we have so many creature types in this deck. Oh, also Tree Folk and Elephant. Last card that should guarantee us more flexibility in this deck is Mirror of Galadriel. The more legendary creatures we control, the cheaper it becomes, giving us scry and draw at a reduced cost. So we have so many legendary creatures, you can see almost all, besides of course the mana giving creatures, are legendary. Legolas is incredibly fun in this deck because together with Friendly Rivalry we can deal massive burst damage. If we control another legendary creature, we can target Legolas and for example Aragorn. Both of them then deal damage equal to their combined power, which is usually enough to take down a huge creature. Since Legolas was targeted by us, he also gets an additional counter. After that we can use Legolas alone to target and kill a smaller creature, maybe those who produces mana, generating even more value. Gimli works in a similar way. Every time one of our creatures dies, Gimli receives a counter. Once he has 3 counters, he fights another creature. So even when we lose creatures, we turn that into removal and pressure. Of course, we also run Aragorn the Unitor for additional power and synergy. For blue mana and consistency, we have Elrond, Lotr of Rivendell, who allows us to scry and control what we reveal. Then we have also Éomer, Fearless Knight, helps us by exiling creatures with firepower, which is extremely useful against big threats. And the best part is when we exile this creature, all our creatures will get protection from this color. Then we have also her brother Éomer, Marshal of Rohan. This is an interesting card because not only Éomer brings haste into this deck, even more important, when one of our creatures dies during combat while attacking with Éomer, we get an additional combat phase. That means we can potentially activate Doors of Durin twice in one turn, which often just ends the game on the spot. Then we have our ultimate champion of the stack, it's Kankra. An 8/8 spider with ward and deathtouch is already scary, but it gets even crazier. Whenever Kankra kills a creature, it turns into a food token under our control, and the wild part is that the ability remains. For example, Kankra once killed Shieldred the Apocalypse with Friendly Rivalry, and I was actually able to use Shieldred's ability afterwards. So yeah, that's just absurd level. We also play Argon and Arven for additional life gain and stability. The mana base consists of 5 mountains, 7 forests, 4 of course Great Hall of the Citadel, and 1 copy of Great Heavens. So we can also here scry one, and the sideboard I just put some other big creatures like Riders of the Mark, 7/4, then also Éomer of the Riddermark and Witch King of Angmar and King of the Oathbreakers. I just choose Witch King of Angmar over the other Witch King, Bringer of Ruin, because here it says whenever this creature attacks, defending player sacrifices a creature with the least power among creatures they control. So actually we want to combine it with Doors of Durin. So yeah, that's the deck, and I would say let's play some games.